Hello, my name is Matt and this is Pixel Burn, where I take a sarcastic look at some of the more important, interesting or irritating things to have happened in the week's gaming news. The biggest news this week of course being how the gaming world came together in an atomic explosion of glee for Bethesda's 100% official, completely legitimate announcement that Fallout 4 exists, built up to with this countdown on the official Bethesda website, ticking down the seconds until its exclusive reveal to the world at 3 PM UK time. Yet even though the countdown was also on a site called Fallout4.com registered to Bethesda owner ZeniMax, some people still had doubts that this was truly leading up to an announcement of a fourth Fallout game. And I can't say I blame them really. Fallout fans have grown accustomed to disappointment year after year after year, and some were dreading a worst case scenario with this announcement, like remastered versions of Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas for example, or some sort of Fallout iOS game. Fortunately, somebody at Bethesda jumped the gun just a little bit by bringing the official Fallout 4 site online before the countdown was finished. While this did reassure nervous fans, it also ruined the entire surprise somewhat. But I digress. Eventually 3 PM came along and with it the trailer everybody had been waiting for, which most people ended up watching on YouTube, since the official Fallout 4 website appeared to have collapsed under the rain of millions of F5 keys being hammered at once. If hype could be distilled into a source of energy, the Fallout 4 trailer reveal gave us enough to conquer the universe 10 times over. People were legitimately excited, so much so that you could have been in a concrete lined bunker 10 miles under the ground and still heard their collective squeals of delight. Needless to say, the trailer did its job in building hype. So now I come in to do my job of pouring cold piss all over it. The Fallout 4 trailer was alright I guess. Maybe The Witcher 3 has spoiled me somewhat, but this trailer neither set my world on fire nor started a flame in my heart. It starts off well enough with a callback to the classic zoom out to a devastated building with an Inkspot song playing in the background from Fallout 1, then mixes things up with some brief flashes to a more colourful time before the bombs fell. Then this dog appeared, which had everyone gushing like it was some miraculous thing never before seen in a Fallout game. Oh my god, a dog! There's going to be a dog companion in Fallout 4! Even though there were dog companions in Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, there was even a playable one in Fallout Tactics. People also lost their shit over this Brotherhood of Steel power armour, like it was literally so far beyond their imaginations the very sight of it melted their brains, and not something that's only been a hallmark of the bloody series since Fallout 1. Christ, what other tiny insignificant things will people latch onto as an excuse to hype out? He's got a gun! Fallout 4 will literally let us shoot guns like all the other Fallout games didn't! Praise Jesus, the protagonist has firm-toned buttocks! Arse is confirmed for Fallout 4! Oh my spunking god! Fallout 4 emits sounds that go into my ears and my brain converts into words and sentences. Game of the year! Actually, one legitimate reaction by fans was to how the protagonist appears to have a voice this time, rather than being a silent psychic mutant who telepathically shoots their words straight into NPCs' brains. It's only one line, sure, and to a dog at that, but it adds a smidgen of legitimacy to this Kotaku article from 2013 about Bethesda putting out a casting call for voice actors that also included player character dialogue. Other things about the trailer that left me thoroughly underwhelmed included the triumphant epic music score, which drowned out half of Ron Perlman's glorious gravelly voice and felt uncomfortably out of place in a Fallout trailer. Then there were the same stiff, canned character animations we moan about in other games, yet fans conveniently ignore in Bethesda ones. Speaking of other Bethesda games, Fallout 4 also seems to be using the exact same creation engine as Skyrim, albeit with better lighting. Still, all credit to Bethesda for actually using in-engine footage for this trailer, rather than some pre-rendered cinematic nonsense. Don't be too disheartened though, I was equally unthrilled by Skyrim at first, but still enjoyed that in the end, so I might be more excited for Fallout 4 after Bethesda shows some gameplay footage at E3. At the moment, however, I'm just not as stoked to the gills with enthusiasm as everybody else seems to be. Sorry if that's some sort of war crime now. I was personally far more excited this week by the announcement for XCOM 2, Firaxis' sequel to 2012's XCOM Enemy Unknown and its expansion Enemy Within. Whereas the sequel to the original XCOM/UFO took the series underwater in Terror from the Deep, however, this one is more Terror from the Streets. It's now 20 years after a successful alien conquest of Earth, and XCOM have become a ragtag insurgency group, fighting back against Earth's filthy, bug-eyed occupiers. Hang on, I beat the aliens in the first game. My neon-haired psychic wonder took control of the alien temple ship, flew it out of the atmosphere before it could become a black hole, and saved the entire planet from destruction. Godspeed, Colonel Yoon. But XCOM 2 is doing the old alternate timeline trick that so regularly pops up in sci-fi, changing the setting to one where the aliens completely steamrolled the Earth from day one and forced its unconditional surrender, or as most XCOM fans know it, playing on impossible Iron Man difficulty. As well as a new setting, Firaxis promises XCOM 2 will now have procedural map generation, similar to that of the classic XCOM games. So instead of playing on the same 80 or so maps until you know them like the back of your hand, missions will be much more varied this time round. You'll still see some of the same buildings and open areas popping up, but they'll be in different configurations that force you to adapt your tactics. There will also be different types of wilderness maps, such as desert areas, snowy areas and jungle areas, instead of the same generic forest tile set from the first game, which is great because it was always a bit weird dropping a squad off in somewhere like rural China, only to find yourself surrounded by Canadian redwoods. Unfortunately for console fans of Enemy Unknown, a mere 114,000 of you, XCOM 2 will be PC exclusive with no gamepad support at launch, which I think is a crying shame personally. The console versions of Enemy Unknown were critically praised, and I know at least one person who preferred using a 360 controller over keyboard and mouse. Firaxis are however hinting at controller support coming to the game sometime after its release, and that could, in theory, mean an eventual console port isn't entirely ruled out either. In the meantime, PC owners can look forward to XCOM 2 Alternate Timeline Boogaloo when it's released on Steam this November. Continuing the theme of sequels, rumours abounded this week that a third game in From Software's Dark Souls series is waiting in the wings for an unveiling at this year's E3. Rumours that culminated in some details about the game making their internet debut on YouTube gaming news channel The Know. Oh, it's you guys again. How much did you say Microsoft were buying Silent Hills for again?
Billions?
Oh, that never stops being hilarious. So, tell me, what did your other uncle at From Software tell you guys this week? Dark Souls 3 is going to be an iOS exclusive? Hideo Kojima's directing it? Hell, go hog wild. It's not like you have any tangible evidence. Oh my fucking son. Alright, I'm willing to give the guys at The Know the benefit of the doubt this time. I mean, this isn't the first case of dark, grubby looking screenshots preceding the announcement of a new From Software Souls-like game. The exact same thing happened with Project Beast shortly before that was unveiled as Bloodborne at E3 2014. So while there's the possibility these screenshots were made up by a very talented fan with way too much time on their hands, taken with the other rumours, we could probably call this one a reasonably safe bet. I particularly like this screenshot, in which it looks like the sun is melting.
I will stay behind to gaze at the sun. Oh.
While there are some obvious comparisons to Bloodborne that can be made, this still looks very much like a Dark Souls game. Your character's wearing heavy armour, there's the interface from Dark Souls 1, probably a placeholder, and the classic Souls series bonfires are also on display. According to The Know's somewhat more reliable this time source, Dark Souls 3 is being directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki himself, and will be about as large as Dark Souls 1 was. There will also be new gameplay mechanics like the so-called sacrifice ceremony, in which you drag bodies around and, well, sacrifice them. Supposedly this is now how you invade other players' worlds to ruin their fun. You'll also apparently be able to alter your own game world, like World Tendency in Demon's Souls, by changing the positions of bonfires and enemies. Bosses too will also change depending on what you do. A 2016 release on Xbox One and PS4 is said to be fixed, with a PC version apparently negotiable. To which I say, negotiable my arse. Unless maybe us PC owners will get a Game of the Year edition with all the DLC. And where every character is voiced by Peter Serafinowicz.
Well, I hope you have a very good reason.
We will of course learn more come E3, assuming this isn't another fairy tale. And to cap off the week's news, Steam this week finally instituted a basic consumer right in the form of an official refunds policy. From now on, if you buy a game on Steam and then decide you don't want it for whatever reason, you can get a refund. Simple. There are conditions of course. You need to have played it for less than 2 hours and request your refund within 14 days of purchase, though Valve will still consider your request even if you fall outside this criteria. Which sounds great, right? Well, to most people it is. It's only a basic consumer right after all. But some people don't think Valve's new policy is all sunshine and roses. Like Nathan Grayson of Kotaku, who in this article expresses concern that indie games like Proteus, Gone Home or Papo and Yo, as well as AAA titles like Metal Gear Solid, Ground Zeroes and Portal can be finished in less than 2 hours. The argument being, what's there to stop people buying the games, finishing them and then getting a refund? The same thing that stops them just pirating it in the first place? Nothing. Nathan also quotes his friend and indie developer Nina Freeman, creator of Freshman Year and How Do You Do It, who says, "What I find most insulting is just how little respect Steam seems to have for smaller games. They basically just keep doing things that say they don't care about small games succeeding on their platform, which is bad because they're one of the biggest and most important platforms for releasing games." Yeah, you know what else is one of the biggest and most important platforms for releasing games? The Apple App Store, which also has a refund policy. Meanwhile, over at Rock Paper Shotgun, John Walker's concern is how the system might be exploited by people to get free games and Steam trading cards. Since most games drop cards within the first 2 hours, John argues, there's nothing to stop people abusing the system to get trading cards that they can then sell, meaning the developer gets nothing while the abuser gets to make a minuscule profit. Again, a point worthy of consideration, but developers aren't forced to make Steam trading cards, and they don't get any cut of the revenue from them. The trading card system is entirely Valve's thing, so if anyone's getting swindled here, it's them. As for the piracy angle, sure, you could buy a game, download it and copy it to somewhere else on your hard drive, then request a refund and wait 7 days to get your money back. In the time it takes to do that though, you could have downloaded and played several games from a random torrent site without having spent a single penny. In his closing paragraph, John Walker asks, might this feel a more legitimate method of getting a free game than turning to the naughty world of torrents? No, because it's still stealing. And the majority of video game pirates couldn't give two yo-ho-hos about legitimacy anyway. They want free stuff as conveniently as possible, and I fail to see how abusing Steam's refund policy is in any way less of a hassle than a trip to the Pirate Bay. Origin and GOG.com's refund policies are more open to abuse than Steam's new system, and they still make a profit, as do the developers who put their games on those services. Basically, only the world's most inefficient video game pirate would consider this a viable alternative to clicking on a magnet link.
Ahoy, brethren of the coast, I be Captain Screed, and today I be sharing with you my foolproof plan for filling your holes with prime internet booty. So grab yourself a rum and pull up a chair, cause I'll only be sober enough to tell you this once. Any greenhorn can navigate the Strait of Torrents to the Pirate Bay and pick up a video game completely for free, along with other fine booty like films, books and high definition movie clips of saucy wenches doing filthy things with sea cucumbers. But that be too easy for Captain Screed. No! Captain Screed has his one good eye on richer plunder than that, thanks to that scurvy landlubber Governor Valve. First, all you has to do is sail to the safe harbour of Port Steam and buy one of them there games they have there. Any game will do, but for best results, get the ones that also give you them shiny trading cards. Now I know what you be thinking, you sea dogs. Paying for stuff. What kind of pirate pays for something he's gonna steal? Well, you've got to spend booty to make bigger booty, of course. Once you've got your meek little game tied up in your hold, you then play it for a wee while until it coughs up some trading cards. You then make a copy of the game to your hard drive. Then you sell them trading cards for a possible 25 English pennies per card, or your regional equivalent. You then march right back up to the Port Steam Harbour Master and say, "Yar! I've spent less than 2 hours playing this game that I purchased fewer than 2 weeks ago. I be wanting me money back, and they'll be giving it right back to you within 7 days. If the game you made a copy of has that there DRM stuck to it, like the barnacles on your hull you used to keelhaul a bilge rat, then you can sail back to the Pirate Bay and pick up one of them cracked executable files to scrape it off with. Oh, but where be the fun in that, boys and girls? Better to sail to the uncharted reef of wires instead, then poke around at random until you find what you need. Sure, you might wreck your ship or pick up one of them diseases that makes your knob fall off, but that's all part of the adventure. And yar, you got yourself a free game and some shiny doubloons for your troubles. Then you do it all over again, until Governor Valve finds out and bans your Steam account. But apart from that, it's a perfect plan.
So yeah, articles like the two I've mentioned are really just anti-consumer bibble dressed up in scraps of an absolute worst case scenario. Do I expect teething problems with Steam's new refund policy? Of course, it's Valve. They're the undisputed kings of taking a good idea on paper and cocking it up royally. A refund policy isn't some gimmicky frippery like user reviews or trading cards, however. It's a basic consumer right, and one that Steam has taken far too long to implement. And if anything, a firm refund policy will make people more likely to buy games they otherwise wouldn't consider, as it removes the element of risk. Yes, someone might buy your game, not like it and return it for a refund, but someone else is now more likely to take a risk on trying your game. And they might like it. A lot. At least enough to be glad they supported the developer who made it. In short, I think Valve's new policy is long overdue, and a good thing for customers and developers alike. At least the developers who don't just see their audience as lobotomised coin shitters. In the meantime, let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Feel free to sound off to your heart's content, whether you're a developer, a consumer, or, I don't know, some frog alien from Venus. That's all for this episode of Pixel Burn. If you liked it, then please do let me know by clicking the requisite button down below, and let your friends, family and Vault Tech know as well. At the very least, I hope you found it tolerable. In the meantime, until next week, as always, you can go now. No refunds.
Now I know what you'll be thinking, you sea dogs. Paying for stuff. You can see me reading my script, that's not good. Now I know what you'll be thinking, you sea dogs. My voice is going. Hey, Patch really fucking hurts my eyes. Until Governor Valve finds out and cancels your Steam account. Bans your Steam account, shite. And yar, you got yourself a free game. Me hook's slipping out of my sleeve. Is that my cat in the background? I'll fucking kill all you mangy cat.